Honorable Governor, Himachal Pradesh, Shri Shiv Pratap Shukla ji, I am grateful to him for accommodating me because we have a time constraint. Helicopter can take off only up to a time. But to be with you, I wouldn't mind even taking a road route. I will continue to. Honorable Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports, your most lovable Member of Parliament, and in his fourth term now, a fiery speaker. I have tasted it, so have you. Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, Shri Rajesh Dharmani ji. Well, on the last occasion, I did not want to make a mistake about his name, but he has already taken note of it. Shri Rajesh Dharmani ji, Honorable Minister, Government of Himachal Pradesh. And the gentleman most important for you, you will always respect him but fear him, who gets the best out of you, virtually sucks your blood. Shri Hiralal M. Suryavanshi, Director. Trust me, every moment after you leave this campus, you'll remember him and will be ever grateful that he made you spinally very strong. I know it. I have loved only those teachers whom I feared the most while I was in school or an institute. And he is enormously talented, a modest man. We have also, I don't want to miss out the registrar, so I'm looking for her name. Yes, Registrar Dr. No, that's important. If there is no synergy between the two of them, university can't work, college can't work, institute can't work. They two have to be in sync with each other. Luckily for you, they are. Dr. Archana Nanoti ji, distinguished members of the faculty, and I'm grateful to them because the body language of the students indicates they are getting best of the education, and therefore grateful to all of you. Of course, nothing succeeds in an institute without support of the staff members. I have seen from the time I stepped in, they are very cordial and compassionate. Grateful to them. And most important, why I am here? I am here because of all of you. It is a rare moment in my life where all my calculations have gone wrong. All calculations have gone wrong. My wife, Dr. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar, has accompanied me, but she has gone to an Anganwadi, so I thought I'll have full freedom. But I had to contend with the fiery speaker Anurag Thakur and the Honorable Governor, who has been very kind to me, but is enormously talented, a man of great experience. He has seen both state legislature and parliament. He has endorsed that Anurag Thakurji has covered the entire landscape. Now, dear students, imagine the Herculean task I have before me. Anurag Thakur has performed excellently, as he does in parliament also, in the field of sports. But here also, constitutional endorsement of his capacity, what have I to say now? So I remembered a ghazal I am very fond of. And as husband of Dr. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar, I will let her not down. I will not let her down. I will make most of her absence. तो गजल कहती है, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया मैं कि मेरे हिस्से में कुछ बचा ही नहीं। But let me tell you, boys and girls, पहले कहते थे दो बातें. Heavens are falling, they have never fallen. Historically, heavens have never fallen. We have always been in fear of it. So get this fear out of your mind. Heavens will not fail, ever fail. They will never fall. This is my assurance and insurance. Keep it in mind. So no tension, no stress on that count. Second, we used to say sky is the limit. The Prime Minister has acted in a manner, sky is not the limit now. We have gone beyond the sky. And today itself is a great day. Our Aryan has entered the most critical phase of sun. I have been extremely impressed by the motto of your institute. There is no substitute for hard work. But then you have a challenge coming, artificial intelligence. And therefore, I'll be addressing on some of the issues which normally I cannot address elsewhere. I am fully alive to the situation that I am before minds who are discerning, able, competent, and are at a level to use technology, which we call disruptive technologies. And unless we cope with them, control them, regulate them, they will control us. My experience of having been a married man for 45 years, make sure before others control you, give up your control. This message you can remember all your life and you will never regret. Normally as a senior advocate, I have never been given an opinion without charging my fee, which was fairly high. I have made a rare exception to give you this advice free of cost. Well, before I really come to serious business, that doesn't mean the first one was not serious, that was equally serious. I would request the director and Shri Anurag Thakurji. I will invite students of this prestigious institute to be my guests at Parliament, visit new Parliament building, Bharat Mandapam, Yashobhumi, Prime Minister's Museum, and whatever else Anurag Thakur can suggest. The Honorable Minister is very competent to take care of everything, but since the invite is from my side, your stay will be arranged by the Parliament and we'll take care of the rest. You just be available to pester your MP for a change for me. Boys and girls, Bismarck used to say, let the winds of change blow. Germans are enormously talented people, but they'll be getting a major setback in 2030. The setback will be that Bharat would have overtaken their economy and will be the third largest economy. But notwithstanding that, Germans say something in particular. We have to follow them in several situations. And therefore, I would urge you that we must look beyond our barriers. We must look beyond our geographical boundaries. And that is why the German Bismarck said, let the winds of change blow all over. From that perspective, being chairman of the Indian Council of World Affairs, I would catalyze a memorandum of understanding between this institute and Indian Council of World Affairs in next 1 month. And that MOU will enable you to get some of the best minds of the world to interact with you here. And maybe on occasions, Indian Council of World Affairs may invite you in Delhi, in Sapru House. It's a very prestigious institute. So these are the two things. And the third, when you will visit Parliament, I'll have the occasion to share with you. This subject, role of youth in Viksit Bharat 2047, and the local Devbhumi, land of gods. So we are in a perfect setting to bestow attention on this. I am before whom? I am before foot soldiers who will play a critical role in realizing our dreams. They will ensure what Bharat will be, in what shape it will be when it attains centenary of its independence in 2047. I am a product of education. I come from a village. I have faced all kinds of hardships. But for scholarship, I may not have gone beyond my village. And therefore, I have no difficulty in asserting before you. Education is the most important, impactful, transformational mechanism. Education brings about equality as no other organ can do it, no other methodology can do it. Education cuts into inequities that are very painful to us. And therefore, you are lucky to be getting in Bharat, 1/6 of humanity resides in this country, the best of education. Make the most of it. Don't miss the opportunity. My young friends, when I say so with full sense of responsibility, you are architects of Bharat to be. There are no more concerned stakeholders in governance than you. People of my age will not be there to see what Bharat will be at 2047. But I have no doubt each one of you, boys and girls, will take Bharat to 2047. And for that, I'll come in a moment why things are very congenial for you. Honorable Governor, during his brief address, made a very significant contribution. Very important aspect, that when it comes to demographic advantage, India is possessed of it. It is possessed of it to the extent that 65% of our population is under 35. Now, when we have prospects because of demographic dividend, look at the history. The countries that had demographic dividend in 1980, 1990 made great significant progress. The progress was geometric, exponential, and absolutely phenomenal. It is India's century. India will perform. India will perform for itself. India will perform for the world. We are in Amrit Kal. Thanks to the visionary leadership of the Prime Minister, we could have this word Amrit Kal. And we all became conscious that we have a civilization of 5,000 years old. Look at our ethos. And that being the situation, series of steps were taken that made our Amrit Kal as our Gaurav Kal. As a young mind, let me tell you, you must have burning desire to make the difference. You must have insatiable thirst for knowledge. And trust me, your learning doesn't end with your degree. Your learning has to be throughout. Even in a river, when you stand, those who are involved with physics know it. If you don't have Kadam Tal, the sand under you will go and you'll fall down. So to be at the same place also you have to learn, and to go ahead, you have to learn all the more. You need to collaborate, weave diverse considerations so that you are on a path which is positive. Let me tell you now, where are we? I'll go historically. We had a glorious past. Go to 5,000 years, not many countries can claim to have civilizational depth of even 500 years. I'm making reference to some of the most developed and including the most developed. Not 500 years, 5,000 years. There is no wisdom which the world can point out even today which is not repository in our Vedas and Upanishads. So we are an ancient civilization. We had a flourishing trade. We were controlling the world, and we were known as Sone ki Chidiya. Then we suffered. I'll come to this century now. Skip rest of it for paucity of time because we need to monetize every second of it. Am I sure? Let me reflect briefly and divert. I don't mean offense to anyone. And I greatly love the Bania community. In legal profession, I was called a Bania all through. Mr. Sunil Gupta, alumnus of IIT Kanpur, 1987 batch, Indian Administrative Service. But my apologies to him because he comes from that community. जब बनिए से पूछते हो और जिसका बेटा आईसीयू के अंदर दिक्कत में है, उससे पूछते हो कि बच्चे का क्या हाल है, तो वो कहता है 2 पैसे सुधार है. You get my point? So from that perspective, you have to keep the 2 paisa means your national interest. Never compromise that. ये कौन सा देश था? सोने की चिड़िया. You were not a सोने की चिड़िया. And rightly so. I had the good fortune to be elected to Lok Sabha in 1989. And Anurag Singh Thakur's father, a very illustrious man, a guiding figure to me. I have come to Himachal Pradesh only at his invite. It is only coincidence that this invite is by his son. We suffered at that point of time. That gold of this country was airlifted physically to be placed to 2 banks in Switzerland so that we can sustain our financial viability and credibility. I was a union minister then. A junior one, Anurag Thakur is a very senior one. So, where are we now? That time our foreign exchange was fluctuating between 1 billion and 2 billion. And now it is over 6 billion. And there have been weeks where the jump has been 4-5 billion. That's a big change that has come place. Just look, you are youngsters, but you can reflect and know from others also. In the early part of this century, we had suffered scams of unimaginable dimension in this country. They bled the economy of this country. They ravaged the ecosystem of this country. Corruption was in full play. I had the occasion when phone banking expression was used in Parliament, Rajya Sabha, by the finance minister, enormously talented Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. She used the word phone banking. Manika, Honorable Minister, I know the lexical meaning of phone banking. Can you tell me what is meant by phone banking? She said phone banking was that somebody would pick up a phone and tell, give 300 crores to this man, 3,000 crores to this man, without sense of accountability or transparency. With the result, the nation suffered NPS. So we had that kind of regime. And then it had an overall impact on the economy. And in 2012, 2013, our economy was labeled in the world as being fragile 5, which means fragile 5. We were a burden on the global economy. Imagine a country home to 1/6 of humanity being burdened on the global economy. And look at where we have come. As rightly indicated by Shri Anurag Thakur in his absolutely fiery speech, which matches that of who's Julius Caesar? And what does the gentleman say? He takes on Brutus. Am I right? He said so. We have traversed such a long distance after overcoming a difficult terrain full of challenges, but all has been brought about. We are already the 5th largest global economy. We are on way to becoming 5 trillion global economy in US dollars. And by 2030, as indicated by the Honorable Minister, Germany and Japan will be behind us in terms of global economy. But then our benchmark is not to be at the top. Our benchmark is to be so much at the top that the second one can't be seen behind us. And that is the challenge you all have in 2047. There was a time when India's voice in the world was just not heard, just ignored. And look at the first address of the Indian Prime Minister at United Nations. He speaks in Hindi. He tells the world how can this institute function if 1/6 of humanity is not in key driver's seat? And then he used the United Nations to declare to the entire world that yoga, a health mechanism which is salubrious for one and all, which has come to us from ages, was adopted by the world International Yoga Day at his call. The largest number of countries in the world in the shortest time recognized June 21 as the International Yoga Day. On the last International Yoga Day, I was there at the national event at Jabalpur, and the Honorable Prime Minister was there at United Nations premises. Again to the word yoga. Not only that, we have gone further, and when it came to G20, of which reference has been made by the Honorable Minister, but at your level, discerning minds, intellectual minds who are to control all forces and converse them to see that they go in favor of country's growth. I must tell you 4 distinct things of G21. Imagine all world leaders were greeted by the Prime Minister, and look at the backdrop, Konark Sun Temple. They walked through a gallery where they saw India's 5,000 years of civilizational growth and ethos. That's one. Second, the initiative taken by the Indian Prime Minister, that European Union was already part of G20, and European nations were those that would rule over us and others. Prime Minister made it a point to have African Union included in G20, which means what an equalizer. A great step taken by him. Third, Global South constitutes more than 60% of global GDP, but their voice did not count. Our Prime Minister took historic initiative, successful initiative, became the voice of global voice, held here important conferences, and we have now in the world a very stabilizing factor. And fourth, which will matter to all of you, we have a corridor now. That corridor from our land, from our sea and Middle East, which is already there, it will open up vistas of economic opportunities for you. You all have to avail of it. What we have done, don't go back. Just see recently, our constitution was plagued by a provision, Article 370. Framers of the constitution has called it temporary, but the nation had suffered it as if it was permanent. It was undone. Historic step. Draconian 35 capital A. Anurag Thakur suffered the pain in his heart. He could not unfurl national flag in Jammu and Kashmir. And look at the change. G20's most important meeting took place at Srinagar. World leaders were there. It has tourism to an extent which is remarkable now. And most importantly, a group of people thought the destiny of the people of Jammu and Kashmir was nestled in their hands. That concept is over. A big change. Another big change that has taken place is that we have had a culture of patronage, nepotism, favoritism, meritocracy was backseat, if at all. Now, कानून से ऊपर कोई नहीं है. कानून की दस्तक हर किसी के लगेगी गलत काम किया तो. No one is above law. You may be anybody. You have to be accountable to rule of law. If there is no equality before law, we can't claim we are living in a democratic nation. The fundamental essence, quintessential aspect of democracy is that all are accountable to law. As young minds, you have to use your brains. How can some people, when law takes its course, they take to streets? Can we accept it? Our courts have a robust mechanism. Our judiciary is independent. It has established its independence repeatedly, but they will take to streets. We have to cut down this menacing trend, and for this aspect, young minds have to be extremely innovative. Your silence at critical issues will resonate in your years to come, because those who observe silence for a long time at a critical time when they should be speaking out will suffer silence forever. Bharat cannot afford to do it because global stability and peace and harmony depends on Bharat. Second aspect, for 3 decades, Parliament struggled to secure reservation for women. It did not happen. It happened last year. I had the good fortune on 21st of September 2023. That day it was taken up in Rajya Sabha. 17 members of Parliament who all were women presided the House on that day. 17 of them, from Jaya Bachchanji to P.T. Usha to Konakji, everyone. And now there will be vertical, horizontal, structured, constitutionally sanctioned reservation to the extent of 1/3 in Lok Sabha and state legislatures for women. And that I can assure is minimum. Because I know the power of womanhood, enormous power. It was a gratifying moment for me when I was invited yesterday for NCC program in the National Capital Territory of Delhi. 39% of girls are there. Male section is 61%. Matter of time, and young boys, be assured, if there will be need for your reservation, I'll be your foot soldier. But that prospect looms large, so you'll have to give your very best of it. When we talk of Chandrayaan 3, we talk of the rocket woman. When we talk of a fighter pilot, we talk of a woman. Every aspect of life which makes us proud, womanhood contribution is great. If you look around the globe, and this is your concern because that's where you will be stepping out in the larger world, look at the participation of our women in global corporate system. Then look at what the world says about us. There was a time everyone used to lament about India. No, seriously. India means assistance has to be given to India. Now International Monetary Fund says India, as the Honorable Minister rightly indicated, fastest growing global economy in the large scale. World Bank says digitization. India has done in 6 years what is not practicable for other nations in 47 years. He says so, a sensible man. And then our UPI is being taken care of by Singapore by way of adoption, other nations. When it comes to ISRO, we are putting in space satellites of which countries? USA, UK, Singapore, developed countries, because good value for money. So our progress is so phenomenal, and it has been incremental for last decade. You have to ensure its stability and rise, and that depends on your commitment, your direction. And I'm sure you are in the right hands of your faculty, but please think out of blue, think out of in a manner so that your idea gets fructified. Never have fear of failure. No one in the world has succeeded with a great idea without failing. That doesn't mean that you are necessary to fail for an idea to succeed. You can succeed also without failing. But failure per se is not a handicap. A concern that has been addressed very effectively is concern of the last in the row. Think within yourself, you don't have to indicate. Think within yourself, could you ever imagine that in this country there will be a toilet in every household? We have it. Could you ever imagine that 100 million households, poor households, जहाँ फूकनी मारकर हमारी माँ, दादी, नानी, बहन, बेटी खाना बनाती थी, आंखों में आंसू आते थे, they will get a gas connection. Could you ever imagine that there will be water available in a tap in a household? I have seen in my own village women traversing a distance of 4 to 5 kilometers from the well on a head pitcher getting water for us. Could you ever imagine? Could you ever imagine that more than 250 million houses are made available by way of planning, and major part of it is fructified, where woman is owner, major part of it. So this big change has come on one count: strong leadership, action-oriented leadership, proper vision, full mission, right execution, attended with expedition. I'm saying this to you, why? Because we didn't have that environment. You have that environment. Zero accommodation for corruption, transparency, accountability, new norms of governance. If you have an idea in your mind, funds are not an issue at all. And therefore, my suggestion to you will be that make most of the opportunity that is available to us. Affirmative governance is not easy. When you take affirmative governance as a new norm, there will be people around to muddy your water. And our country, there are a small category of people who can't digest growth of this country. Whenever there is a big event taking place in Delhi, something of which the entire nation has to be proud, their digestive system fails. And they come out with statements only to tarnish, demean, taint our institutions, demean our progress. How can that be allowed? Now tell me, if there is a sinister narrative which is anti-national, and you know it is anti-national, is it not our joint obligation to neutralize it? I can understand a layman talking about economy. He doesn't know what is inflation rate. He doesn't know what is growth rate. I can understand. But if someone who has held a high position in economic situation of the country, after not getting that position for a second term, talks about economy in a nonsensical manner, I'm using this word with full sense of responsibility. You tell the entire world it can't be more than 5%, and the writing on the wall today is 7.5%. Does he not take note? Does he not take note of the situation that our digital transactions in 2022 were 4 times combined transactions of USA, UK, France, and Germany? How can he ignore the fact that per capita internet consumption of Bharat was more than that of China and USA taken together? He knows it. So boys and girls, I am making a very serious statement now. And this is for your consumption so that you can catalyze a movement for it. The most dangerous thing is that an informed mind, a recognized mind, a mind that has held a position of power, a mind who is supposed to know everything, a mind in whom there is faith of the people that he can say nothing wrong. He abuses that authority and monetizes ignorance of the people for political gain. Such kind of narratives have to be busted at the initial stage. And who is competent to do it? The people before me, those at the back. And let me tell you, I indicated at several places, in educational institution, there are only back benches. There are no backbenchers. Those who are in the last row are as important as those who are in the front. And therefore take initiative and try to contribute to the nation as we should be doing. Look at when the Prime Minister was on a state visit to the United States. He was addressing the joint session of Senate and Congress. When he said AI, everyone understood artificial intelligence. And the Prime Minister said, AI means America, India. There was thunderous applause. Why America, India? The two are democratic nations. They share the common platform of human values. Thunderous applause. India's Prime Minister image and the value of your passport has made a quantum jump. And therefore, let me come to the next point. One, disruptive technologies. Ordinary students are not concerned with it, but those who are before me are concerned with it. You have to address artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, and that is why you have to keep in mind that India is one of the few countries in single digit who have taken initiatives with respect to quantum computing. There has been an allocation of 6,000 crores for quantum computing commission. You must know it. My generation people would think that 6G means nothing but a faster communication on mobile. But you know it has wonders. You know it more than I do. I will take time to learn, you will not. You will grasp it immediately, magnetically. So quantum computing is one. Green hydrogen mission. We are one of the 7 countries in the world to focus attention on this. It has enormous potential. On an estimate by 2030, there may be 8 lakh crore investment and 6 lakh jobs. Green energy, focus on that. Machine learning, so very important. In a minute, we may have data in millions and billions. Someone has to discern it, you see. Security concerns have to be addressed by analyzing such data. Now, these are the thoughts which I can't indicate everywhere. I have been to several IITs, shared my thoughts. There has been great response from the students. And I will also, you see, there is not much time. How much time is left? Huh? Time क्या है? नहीं, time क्या है? अच्छा, 14. So we really don't have time. I quite understand. You see, to facilitate governance, we had August 15, 1947, Trust with Destiny. But when it came to GST regime unfolding, there was another midnight joint session of Parliament, Trust with Modernity. Everyone arose. Good and simple tax can never be achieved. Goods and services tax can never become good and simple tax. Everyone is happy now. We have to bring about the change which is good only for the nation. We have to ensure people adapt to change. So you'll go in that direction. Well, I have suddenly become conscious as I become conscious of the presence of my wife. I become conscious of time for a change. Constant of time means I use this platform to send a message to corporate leaders, to business tycoons, those engaged in industry, chambers of industry, business and trade. Please handhold institutions. Research and development is driven only by corporates in the world where the countries are developed. You need to focus on our institutions. Our institutions, our boys and girls have potential much more, intellect much more than those of others. If there is intellect available in outside institutions, it is because of Indian component. And therefore, I am surprised, I don't want to name them. It pains my heart when Government of India gives $5 million assistance in 2009 to a foreign university. Why not to our universities? How can Government of India at that point of time give $5 million to another American university? $50 million were given by a business house. I don't want to make issue of it. Let us never look back. When you look back and carry the past baggage, we can't move ahead. But now I appeal that there must be concerted attempt, endeavor, that our institutions are handheld by corporates to engage into research and development and placements. And for that, alumni of all institutions must come together on one platform. They will be the world's most important, impactful think tank in policy making. Rest will connect as and when I get another opportunity. Thank you so much for sparing your time for me. And it is first of its kind that in Devbhumi I have said on earlier 2 occasions when I inaugurated to Dharamshala the first flight. Dhumal Sahab was there, Member Parliament. I expressed sense of gratitude to him. When I had a good meeting at Shimla of more than 1,000 lawyers, I again expressed my sense of gratitude to Dhumal Sahab. I am now privileged and honored to express a similar sense of gratitude to his son, enormously talented son of your soil, Shri Anurag Thakur. Thank you so much.